The unexamined life is not worth living. This single powerful phrase, uttered by the great ancient Greek philosopher Socrates over 2 millennia ago, still resonates deeply today. By making this bold proclamation during his trial in 399 BC, where he was ultimately sentenced to death, Socrates solidified his legendary status as a paragon of wisdom and virtue in the Western intellectual tradition. But what exactly did Socrates mean by this provocative quote? To fully appreciate its enduring significance, it's important to understand Socrates' worldview and approach to philosophy. Socrates lived during a golden age of ancient Athens when intellectual curiosity and debate were actively cultivated. As a philosopher, he saw himself as an intellectual gadfly, someone who would challenge widely held assumptions and conventional thinking. Socrates believed that the very purpose of life was moral and philosophical examination aimed at acquiring wisdom, truth, and virtue. The Socratic method involved asking probing, sometimes unsettling questions to get at the heart of concepts like justice, piety, courage, and knowledge itself. Socrates recognized that people often lived in a kind of uncritical slumber, blindly accepting traditions and customs without rational examination. He wanted to awaken people's critical reasoning so that their eyes would be opened. An unexamined life for Socrates was one lived instinctually and unreflectively, passive rather than active. It was a superficial existence where people possessed little self-awareness or desire for personal growth, the opposite of Socrates' ideal of the philosophical life. The examined life meant rigorous, honest introspection, viewing oneself as an ever-learning student of wisdom. It required humility in the face of how much we do not know. Socrates saw it as a life lived ethically, with radical inquiry into conventional values and dogmatic beliefs. An examined life meant embracing rational analysis and an open-minded willingness to reconsider previously held assumptions. When brought to trial on spurious charges, Socrates remained steadfast in his principles. He declared it the duty of a philosopher to examine opinions, no matter if it made him unpopular. When condemned and offered the chance to go into exile, Socrates refused to abandon his mission of teaching philosophy. Instead, he chose death before betraying his commitment to the examined life. By sacrificing his life for his beliefs, Socrates powerfully demonstrated that examining truth and virtue mattered above all else. He backed up his bold words with equally bold actions. No wonder the phrase, "the unexamined life is not worth living," has echoed through the centuries as a call to philosophical awakening. So in essence, Socrates was exhorting us to wake up from unthinking routine, to throw off complacency, moral laziness, and habitual assumptions. His quote compels us to step outside of cultural conditioning and fearlessly think for ourselves. An examined life is active, reflective, and inquisitive, a journey of ethical and intellectual growth, worthy of our highest ideals and aspirations. Of course, actually living an examined life requires lifelong effort. It's a lofty goal with varying degrees of real-world feasibility. But Socrates saw it as the philosopher's duty to strive for. His message is more vital now than ever in our complex information age with endless distractions. Reflecting on how we choose to live can imbue our fleeting existence with richer meaning and purpose.